This week on the Coastal News, we finally learn more about Eliza's home life thanks to Cash and his senior constable investigating skills. The road trip in Queensland has a dangerous consequence for Mac and Ziggy, who are held up with escaped prisoners. Sonny and Theo do a job for the Riverboys, and Irene has a wobble.
Pull over up there.
Why?
Because I told you to.
Okay.
I reckon we should keep going. Didn't ask your opinion.
What's going on? You know, whatever happens to us, the cop's going to blame you just as much as him.
Do as you're told. Up there on the left, pull over. I can't be a part of this. Hey? I'm not a murderer.
Shut up. No. Please don't.
We are Si and Sophie. This is Coastal News, a home and away podcast, your weekly episode companion podcast for your favourite Aussie soap.
Partial to a grease monkey, Sophie?
I don't know, actually.
You was this week.
Yeah, well, this week's been interesting for sure. So, yeah. You know what?
How are you?
I like the Danger Boys. I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. All right. Yes. I was happy for you this week because those three magic words that you love to hear: blood and sand.
Blood and sand. Back in the bay. Yes.
Back on the forearm. That seems to be a thing nowadays for the old River Boys.
I think it's a lot easier to paint it on the forearm than it is to do it across the back or across the chest.
Yeah, and in Dean's case, just forget it was ever there.
Don't bother. Don't bother, darling. Washed off.
Did you go back and check after last week? And I said on the pod, there's no.
Yes, I did. And a few people actually tweeted us pictures of his arms, which I'm not mad about, you know, so. Yeah.
There you go.
I did have a good look. I had a good shifty look at his arms. And you're right. I did it for the purposes of research for the...
Yeah.
For the pod.
That's what this is. Mm-hmm. It's all research.
I researched them arms good, and those tats have disappeared. You're right. Yeah.
And that's what was different about him.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I still think he looks different. I don't know whether he's lost weight or his hair's different. There is something else going on that I haven't quite figured out. But
bit more of a crow's feet, I reckon.
I do like a bit of I like guys when they look older. I don't like baby-faced people.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Mm-hmm. Bit of experience on the face. Yeah. Oh God, what a week! We've got loads to talk about.
5 minutes in. What are we doing?
Well, I don't know, but last week I was editing. I think it was on First Look, and we were talking about someone coming. And I was like, and we were laughing about like coming in every day of the week, and I was like, "What are we doing?"
That was so bad. This is why you are award-winning, but the podcast is never going to be award-winning.
No, not even shortlisted, down.
Not even. Wow. No, we're too filthy. We're going to get we're on borrowed time. There's going to be a time when we're going to get cancelled. Yeah.
Oh, don't say that. That might be as famous as we get.
Go viral for getting cancelled.
Well, let's see what the poor apprentice on the viewer inquiries inbox at Channel 5 replies back this week after they heard my rant at 7:20 on Thursday morning.
Oh dear. Do you know what? So I was looking for stuff for Your Say on the Bay for later, and social media, as predicted, mainly Facebook, was just full of Holmes isn't on this week then. The snooker's on. blah, 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 blah. And I was like, these people don't listen to us. Because if you'd listened to us,
No.
you would know that Si warned you last week that Homer's wasn't on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at lunchtime. And it was going to be on 5 Star. It was also on 5 Star at lunchtime. So they moved the 1:45 episode and plonked it on 5 Star at 1:45 as well.
We didn't know that, did we? That was a
No.
pleasant surprise, actually.
Because they haven't bloody said anything. Bloody Channel 5, once again,
mhm.
have not put out a statement, have not put anything on social media explaining that it's disappeared. And the amount of people on Facebook that are going to tune in on Monday and go, and next week it's going to be like, oh, what happened to Ziggy? I don't understand, because have I missed something? Yes, you've missed 3 episodes.
Yeah.
It's the same every
3
time.
huge episodes, actually. It is the same
Yeah.
every time. You're right. I have quite a vivid memory. So I used to work at, shall we say, a popular satellite television company. Hopefully that's
If
not
you
too
look up,
descriptive.
what do you see? Look up.
And back in the way back, I was on the telephones answering, to the customers.
Yeah.
And I remember once this girl ringing up, right, and she was like, "My series links aren't working. Like, I'm missing programs. It's a joke, and it keeps happening." And getting to the bottom, like troubleshooting the problem and getting to the bottom of it, I was like, "You're going to have to tell." She's being really evasive about what this what program. I was like, I need to report this to the content people. So like, I'm going to need to know what content there is problem with. And she was like, "Fine, it's Home and Away." And I was like, "Oh my God, doll, right. Let me tell you what you've missed in the last 3 days while your series link's not been working." and like literally an hour later, we were like best friends, me and this customer on the phone.
See, you were doing a podcast before you even did the podcast.
I know. And you know what will be crazy? If she's listed, email in, because that was it just sticks out in my mind. But what was bizarre, that whole week I had quite a number of calls. It was more than one customer. Lots of people out there watching, afraid to say it, missing things when the schedules change. So get on the app this weekend. Get downloading on your satellite set-top boxes that shall not be named. And catch up, because these have been insane episodes. Actually,
not the celibate satellite one, the one where you look up into the ether upstairs.
Sky. Everyone, download our Sky.
Oh dear. Yes.
Shall we talk about this week's Home and Away?
Go on then.
Yeah. Tane, you'll remember at the beginning of the week, and actually I was going over my notes tonight and I was thinking, was that this week? That's the kind of week I've had. He's been asking Eliza, what were you thinking bottling Scott on Friday's episode? or threatening to. And she's quite nonchalant, isn't she, this Eliza? She's very cold-faced. She's very matter-of-fact. She doesn't really emotionally react to situations or understand its sort of nuance and consequence of her actions. And I'm finding it quite fascinating to watch, to be honest, because I don't think I've ever come across anybody quite like this in my life.
Never.
And she's just like, yeah, some people ask for it. And I'm thinking, he touched your phone. Nobody asks for that.
No.
And like, you could do the most heinous of crimes. You wouldn't ask to be bottled. Do you know what I mean?
Please bottle me. Yeah.
Yeah. He shouldn't have took my phone, she says. And I'm thinking, right, if we bottled everybody who touched my phone, blimey. Completely proportionate to the crime, doll, not. And back at home, when they're back at home, Rue's questioning her and trying to understand it, as you naturally would. Why are you reacting so? Is pretty much what Rue's asking. And Eliza's like, the phone is special to me because you gave it to me. And I'm thinking, give it a rest, this manipulation girl. Give it a rest. And Marilyn, when she sees her, is asking her on her own, And I'm worried every time I see Marilyn and Eliza on their own. I'm worried because I'm just waiting for something here. There's something amiss, isn't there, with the air when them two are together. And even she's asking, do you regret what you did? And she's like, no, he was bugging me. There's no connection, is there, with cause and consequence with this girl?
No.
And she doesn't have a grasp on what is appropriate at all levels of life. Conversation, behaviour, bottling people. What the hell?
It's genuinely scary now.
Yeah.
And I still can't put a finger on what it is about her, why she is like this. It's bizarre. I mean, that conversation she had with Maz. So obviously, Rue and Eliza were sat on the sofa, weren't they, at the Stewart house? And I think Maz was trying to get the information out, what's happened. She knew something obviously kicked off, but she didn't know what it was. And it was just the way that Eliza was like, "Oh, this guy did this thing, so I broke a bottle and held it to his neck." And she was just, and Maz's face was just like, "Right, okay." But Eliza says it so matter of factly. She doesn't even lie. She doesn't say, "Oh, I didn't," because last week she was lying, wasn't she? And she was saying, "Oh, I hit him because he was saying stuff about you," and she tried to deny what she'd done to start with. But when she's actually asked outright, "What did you do?" she doesn't even see it as a problem. She doesn't try and lie and say, "Oh, nothing, it was nothing," or do what you'd expect someone to do, to try and downplay it and go, "Oh, it was nothing, he's overreacting," or "I didn't really do anything." You're expecting that, aren't you? Kind of lying. But she just kind of goes, "Oh, well, I did this," but she says it in a way that sounds like when I say to you, "I'm just nipping up to the co-op to get, some ketchup." You know what I mean? It's it's so matter of fact. It's like, "Oh, well, he took my phone, so I tried to bottle him," or, "Oh, well, he did this, so I punched him in the face." And it's like, oh my God, the honesty.
It's like she doesn't feel.
Yeah. She doesn't care about the consequences, or maybe she doesn't know there are any consequences. I don't know.
Wow.
It's really weird, isn't it?
It is.
I can't quite. I don't know where we're going with it. I can't quite work out. Is she just really cold and callous and just not a nice person, or has she got mental health problems, or is it a spectrum thing? Is it a diagnosable thing that we're missing here? That
well, we initially
I don't even think Rue's talking thinking about any of this stuff. She's just going, "Oh, you shouldn't do that. It's not good, Eliza." But she's not going, "Why? Why are you doing it?"
Well, Rue's doing a lot of things wrong, isn't she? Let's face it.
Useless this week.
Yeah, she is. But I mean, we initially suspected the spectrum diagnosis avenue, and then quickly dismissed it when things just were weird for weird's sake, didn't we? But maybe we need to still keep that avenue open, like
honestly,
you say.
I can't predict it at the moment. I can't tell you what I think is going on with her. Cause like you, I've not met anybody like this in real life.
Yeah.
So this is what is going on?
Yeah, you put yourself in shoes, don't you? And you're like, I don't know how I'd react if I met someone this cold. And I'm quite chilled now at these scenes. I find them quite chilling.
It's when she said to Maz, the guy was bugging me like you are now, and I was like, all right, so are you going to bottle her next? Is that what you're trying to say? Stop asking me questions, or I'll bottle you. Is that it? It's
yeah. This is it. It's mad, isn't it? Really, and it's quite extreme, and obviously you come to expect that kind of thing on a show like this. The extremes, don't you?
Yeah.
But it is fascinating to see unfold on screen. It really is. And Rue goes to Cash for help because she's at a loss herself now. She's got to a point where she's like, I'm out of my depth here. And thankfully she's recognizing this, because we've been saying it, as many others have. Our listeners were saying it as well on your Say on the Bay last week. And she's thinking perhaps him going up there in the uniform will put the willies up her. So I'm thinking of getting him to yours at one night, to put the willies up you.
I'm up for that, doll.
Send me your address. So he agrees, which for the first time in a while, actually, the first time I think we've seen it causes a huge reaction in Eliza, doesn't it? And she's been one of these that doesn't really react to anything, and now suddenly there's a massive reaction when Cash walks in the room in uniform, and he's asking Rue about Eliza. He's like, "Is there police involvement in the case? What about the parents? What about the siblings? What is the story?" And I'm like, "Yes,
Exactly.
come on,
Why
tell
don't we
us."
know?
There's a massive glaring thing here. There's been no sort of handover from Department of Child Services. There's been no sort of checkup. There's been no referrals. There's been no. We are missing the social worker here, and she is at a hotel, unable to drive. But I think that's something this storyline has overlooked, and I think that's when it'll end up with criticism of sensationalism, and
yeah. Because the basic stuff's been missed. As everyone, we're not the only ones saying this. Like you say, I'm constantly reading stuff on Facebook, X, everywhere. People saying, "Why doesn't Rue know the backstory? Why was there no handover? Why is she not in touch with the previous family that Eliza was living with? Why is she only just finding out now about the grandma? And what's the deal with the parents? Why was she taken off the parents? Was she taken away from them because she was the problem, or was she taken away from them because they were the problem?" There's too many questions, and why doesn't Rue A, ask the questions, and B, already know them before she took in this girl?
Yeah. If she's come from somewhere where grandma's been found dead at the bottom of the stairs, Rue ought to have been told that.
Yes.
Yeah. Living in a house with stairs. Because now we're all putting two and two together, aren't we? Based on what we've seen of this girl, she's about to cut a guy up for touching her phone.
Yeah. What did grandma do?
Yeah, exactly.
Was she bugging her? Was she bugging her at the top of the stairs and she pushed her?
We're judging her, aren't we, based on what that's all we can do, based on what we know. There's a big missing chunk here, and I don't know why that. To me, that seems an obvious inclusion to the story. And probably would be a really nice guest character, actually. And someone from Doc's coming in. There'd be loads of great scenes with Rue, talking about her and. Rue learning, because I think Rue has a lot of learning to do.
Yeah.
Now,
how does she help a girl if she doesn't even know what her problems are? That's what I don't understand. How can she possibly be a good foster parent to someone she doesn't know anything about?
Yeah, exactly.
It's bizarre.
Exactly. I think there needs to be some more of a motive from Eliza as well. Obviously, we can see the manipulation, but why is she messing it up and behaving like this? And normally it's like the usual thing is, I don't want to live here, so I want to mess up this placement so they move me.
Yeah.
Or, what's the motive for all this? Where would she rather be?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's she thinking of getting out of it? So we potentially got a murderer living in the Stewarts. And Cash has kindly found this all out. He's looked it up on the super duper YCPD computer. And when Rue tries to speak to her about it, she's all like, so sorry, it must have been so traumatic. Give us a hug. Rue's not even adding the sums up. Rue's not even thinking the girl was just going to glass a lad. Could she have pushed Nana down the stairs? Of course she could. She's not even gone there. She's gone straight to how... and I get it. She's had not the best of starts, but I think what I'm sort of saying is I'm struggling to sympathise with her. And then when she hugs her, she only goes and turns around and gives Maz the old...
Yeah, smug face.
Side smile. So it's all tosh. And she's and we were right. We were right to be suspicious of her. And now we're in on it. As the audience, we now know for sure that she's playing her like chess.
Yeah.
And Maz knows it. And us and Maz are the only ones now in on it. And I quite like that that's happened.
Yeah.
That this girl is not everything that meets the eye. And there's only one character that knows it and us. And it's a little secret we've got with Maz,
Yeah.
Interesting to see where we go from here, though, because no one else is going to listen to her, especially Rue.
No, especially Rue. She doesn't give her the time of day, does she? Maz has already tried to talk to her about the missing money in her purse, and she totally slammed her on that one. Like, I thought
Yeah.
you'd be more sympathetic. I need your support. Blah, blah, blah. She's not going to
Yeah.
take. She's not going to take a bite of
Horrendous.
this, is she?
No.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. So we'll see what happens this week. But yeah, I think there's more Ruby Maz coming, and I'm looking for a different slant on it next week as we go into next week's episodes, because we know for sure now, and we know Maz knows for sure. And how's that going to change the lens as we watch it? It'll be interesting to see how next week unfolds and what the reaction will be like at home from the audience now that we're all certain that it's definitely a crock.
Did you think that it was an important plot point that Marilyn went and spoke to Irene and Dana about it? Do you think Irene and Dana might get on the radar of Eliza, or might be able to back up Marilyn? Because it was weird, wasn't it? Because Marilyn kind of went round and said, "Oh, I need, are we doing talk and tea? Because I'd really like to get this off my chest, and I really, I'd like to talk to you about my problem." And obviously, Irene and her are really good friends, and she can't talk to Rue about it, so she's stuck. But Irene wasn't very open because she's got her own shit going on, hasn't she, basically? So
yeah,
she was just like, "Oh, I don't know, doll. Like, Rue obviously knows what she's doing, and maybe back off," kind of thing. And Dana was like, "If you think it's a problem, like, trust your gut and, don't let your guard down," kind of thing. And I wondered whether maybe Dana gets involved, and now she's got Marilyn's kind of warning in the back of her head. Because what we need is someone else other than Marilyn to see that this girl's got problems, don't we?
Yeah, you're right. She's going to need safety in numbers, isn't she? As she sort of tries to fight it.
Yeah, I didn't know whether that was
seen it,
significant
but
or not.
yeah, do you know what? Put a pin in it. Get that in the book,
Yeah.
because I reckon you could be spot on there. I hadn't seen it, but now you're telling me I can.
Yeah, I just thought it was weird that
so-
she went round there and just kind of disrupted Irene's schedule just to tell her this. And I was like,
Yeah.
is this
But
important? Is this going to be a future?
Yeah, and that could have its own drama, because is Irene a reliable witness at the moment?
Oh, God. Yeah, good point. That is a good point. Oh, I'm nervous. I'm nervous.
Can you imagine if we wrote a soap, what it'd be like?
Oh, it'd be nuts. It would be nuts. Twitter would hate it. There's too much sex and drama in this. I'm turning it off.
No one wears any clothes.
Everyone's getting stabbed and kidnapped.
They're all baking.
They're all making cheesecake. What's that about?
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Right. Meanwhile, in Queensland, and I must keep saying Queensland. Well, is it? What am I doing wrong when I say that? I'm listening to the podcast saying, why am I saying Queensland like that?
What? Queensland?
Am I doing something wrong? Is it Queensland? Queensland.
Queensland, isn't it? I think, but I think to a British person, you would say Queensland, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'm listening to the pod back and I'm thinking, why am I saying it like that? What am I saying wrong?
I think that's how we would, if it was here, that's how we would pronounce it. We would say Queensland, wouldn't we?
Yes, Sunderland.
Exactly. You say Queensland, but they do say Queensland, don't they? Land.
Right. Just sounds weird in my accent, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't sound right in a British accent.
It doesn't sound natural. Yeah.
No.
And I hate the way I sound as it is.
No.
But yeah, I'm a podcaster. Meanwhile, in Queensland, Mac and Levi
That's
are
worse.
in...
That's worse. Okay, roll with it.
Right. Over there somewhere, Mac and Levi are in... they're in like the best hotel I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It looks bloody gorgeous on screen, and then Ziggy just drops into the convo about her being pregnant, and I'm like,
yeah, bombshell.
Not scandalous, but not something I thought that would be written in. And then I'm like, nothing is ever happens in Home and Away that isn't crucial to the plot.
Exactly.
We have not got time for just like random facts that no one's that blink and you miss it. Like everything is crucial.
Yeah, this was important. Oh, Levi is a doctor. Levi's just recently, even though he's a heart surgeon, had a lot of time talking about pregnancy to do with Harper's pregnancy.
Yeah. He scrubbed up, if you'll pardon the pun.
Exactly.
Before he came here. So the
Yeah.
fact that you're pregnant again.
And he needs to win Dean round. I saw this.
Yeah.
I saw this is where we're going with this.
Glaring omission here as well. Jai.
Oh, good point. Yeah,
They
where
only
is he?
moved there to be with Jai. We've seen little Izzy, haven't we?
Yeah.
With Nana. I would have thought it would have been, if Jai was around, that could have been cool.
I assume he still lives with Amber, but then like Dean would have access or whatever, like 50-50.
So Dean's expecting sausage surprise. Dean's expecting his third child now, second to Ziggy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just thinking, do you know what? I loved Jai.
He was cute. He was, and apparently the actor that played him was a right little character, like very, very funny, off camera. So
yeah, would have been nice to have sort of seen him again, really. This time it has spilled. The story. Levi's doing his best to keep up Mac's spirits, isn't he, at this hotel? And she's all, it's not working. I told you that my brother's not to be trifled with, and this wasn't going to go well, and all the rest of it. And Levi's like, what do you want me to do? I'm trying here. I'm trying to distract you. I'm offering you a spa, a mani and a pedi. Like, what do you want me to do? We're on this holiday now. Let's make the most of it. And when she's not looking and he's not around, he thinks, right, I'm going to try again. And he uses Mac's phone to call Dean, and he just hangs up on him as soon as he realises who it is. And then we're sort of cut back to Dean's gaff, aren't we? And Ziggy and Karen have a word with him and are like, look, if Mac's keen on him and they've been together for 12 months, like, this isn't a flash in the pan thing, you might want to, make a go of it, because you do not want to make a choose between the two of you.
Yeah.
That age-old advice. Just saying. So they decided to invite them on a double date road trip around Queensland. I was thinking, like, meet a coffee shop, come back over and we'll start again. But no, we're going to go on holiday.
It's crazy. They didn't even make it through a barbecue, and yet now they want to get in the back of a car and drive for miles together and stay somewhere together and be in each other's company for like 24/7. It's crazy. That is crazy.
Just a bit. It's just so they can show off Queen's land to us on screen, which, fair enough, it looked absolutely gorgeous.
It does.
We rejoin them later in the week on said trip, don't we? Dean's eating everything, and Levi spots a boat trip / boat hire thing they can do. How gorgeous! And we end up with this beautiful sort of Finding Nemo underwater fishy coral reef thing, which is just, what an advert for Australia.
Yeah.
With these scenes, this montage of underwater stuff.
I want to go back now.
Scuba diving. I do. And I've seen some comments online as well about people saying how amazing this looked. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, no other soap looks like this.
No.
And that, even when they go on location shoots, nothing looks this good. I'm sorry, it just doesn't compare. And when they get back from scuba diving, Dean thinks Levi's checking out Ziggy's titties, so that brings us down to earth with a bang. And he's all like, "Oi, eyes off," and I'm like, "I'm not your mate." Dean's had enough, hasn't he? And he's done playing happy families. He's finding reasons to hate Levi, isn't he?
Yeah.
I don't think he actually genuinely thinks he would crack on to Ziggy. He's finding reasons within anything.
Yeah.
And he wants to bail out of the trip, and what a good enough reason he's cracking on to me girl. So Mac tells Dean, I'm going to be with him forever. So get on board, and I can't have you in my life. So Dean has no choice but to give Levi a chance and offers to go for a bro walk. Now, this would turn out to be a fatal decision, because whilst they're gone, some guys come along who are trying car doors where Mac and Ziggy have been left. And they say, "You've got an open car, this your car?" They bundle him in and sort of forcibly make them drive them away, and it turns out they are escaped convicts from a nearby prison who are trying to get across the border. I'm assuming that means state border.
Yeah, I hope so.
And they're stuck in the car with these two crims at this point, and suddenly everything's got very exciting.
Mad this was, wasn't it? Mad escalation from... I mean, we knew that something like this was coming. I mean, you and I were texting all week, weren't we? We were like speculating, like the whole Levi thing. Levi's a doctor. Ziggy's now pregnant. This is going to be a plot point. We were thinking she's going to be stranded in the middle of nowhere, and they've gone hiking, haven't they, or whatever? And they're stranded, and she's got an issue, and Levi has to step in, or someone has a medical issue, and Levi has to step in, and then that changes Dean's mind. That's where we were going, I think. But this isn't where I thought we were going to go. But this is very much the soap storyline I was expecting to get with this, because we've had Dean having a paddy all week. That's a pun intended, because his name's Paddy. I didn't mean that, but you know what I mean.
I like it.
He's been in the mood, isn't he? He's been like Snickers, angry all week, and they've been like trying to feed the monster.
I think you forget, don't you, like how insufferable Dean can be.
I actually forgot, and I was like, God, I forgot how annoying and pig-headed he is. And like you said, like he's decided he hates Levi, and now no amount of Levi being nice or perfect or whatever is going to win him round, because he's just like, no, I hate him, so I'm going to find, like you say, I'm going to find something to fit my agenda. Oh, he's looking at my bird's boobs. So, it's that. That's why he's a dick. Just proved himself. He just proved that he's how I think he is.
Yeah.
And that's so Dean, and I actually forgot how annoying he was. Yeah. Because at first you're like, oh, they're back. And then I was like, oh, Dean, why are you being such a dick? And then I was like, do you know what? He was like this. This is what he's like. I forgot.
Yeah. You just forget. You forget quite easily, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, they come back, Dean and Levi, to them skidding off into the sunset, screaming out the window, with these two convicts escaped. And Dean hotwires this car, and Levi doesn't want to get it, because Levi is full of morals all of a sudden. Doesn't want to get in this stolen car, and Dean's like, I will leave you. And like, you're like, yeah, he will.
Feed you to a shark and drive off.
So they're also in this stolen car. I do love it when the radio, you turn the radio on exactly to the information you need to hear.
Yep.
And there's obviously in Ziggy's car, Ziggy's driving under duress. She's being forced to drive. There's these conversations going on, which I do enjoy, about what's the plan, guys. Like, we've learned through that radio in the guy's car that one of them is in for murder. He's capable of bad things. And we have this sort of Pinky and Perky thing again, don't we? From last year, where one has a conscience to a degree and the other one is cutthroat and calling the shots, don't we? We sort of have that same dynamic between these two. And it's quite obvious when he says, I wasn't planning on taking any witnesses over the border with us. That, this is going to end either them caught or Ziggy and Mac are going to die from this. Rather than them talk. They're in hot pursuit. Are Dean and Levi. There's this roadblock that takes them off the beaten track.
This roadblock, can we just say, has seen two cars drive up with men in and turn around, and they've done nothing.
I know.
What are the worst of YCPD, doll? What's going on?
It's across state lines. This policing, I tell you.
As soon as the car turns around, you'd be like, right, who are they? Like, go and check them out. Why don't they want to come and talk to us? You know?
Obviously they've got something to hide.
Yeah.
No, just let them drive through the field.
Because why else would they be out there in the middle of bloody nowhere? There's nothing there. There's not even a building, is there? hilarious. I did
Mhm.
laugh at. I think I tweeted tonight. I was like, some of this is absolutely hilarious, but I don't know whether it's supposed to be, because I was laughing at a lot of it. Because I was like, Levi is dressed in white, Dean is dressed in black. Levi is like the doctor, goody goody, we can't break the law. And then Dean's there, like, you can take the boy out of Mangrove River, but you can't take the Mangrove River out of the boy, kind of thing. Like, hot wiring a car without even thinking about it. The first thing he does is like check if anyone's coming. Well, we want someone to come because Levi's thinking we need help, and Dean's like, no, we don't. Let's do it ourselves. Hot wire a car and get out of here. It's like the two of them are just polar opposites, and I just found the whole thing hilarious, but so entertaining. I loved it. It was like a
Yeah.
Channel 5 afternoon film, which I'm a big fan of.
Yeah. I was lapping it up too. I was proper just sort of indulging in it, to be honest.
It's
Whether
so tongue in cheek, though. It was like,
yeah, and the whole half the fun is poking fun at the holes and poking fun at how I think it was and it was event TV, like it was somewhere different. It was looked really good. We had this car chase. We've got danger. We've got everything we want from just a bit of fluff in the afternoon. Do you know what I mean?
I've loved it. I've loved every minute of this week. I'm hoping next week is just as good, to be honest, with the storyline.
Same. Because where we're at, so one of the one with the conscience has been literally he's dived out the car because he doesn't want to be involved in murdering two more people. And so we've got Ziggy and Mac in the car with the murderer now, and he has a weapon. He's got a knife, hasn't he, or whatever it is. I don't know where he's got it from, whether that'll even be explained. Yeah. It looks like he's going to open boxes in Sainsbury's. Doesn't he?
It does. Oh, get the oranges! Come on.
I think we've got one of them at work. And they've now presumably got the guy in the back of their car saying, "Where is he?" I did like Levi sort of let me reason with him. He's injured. He's dived out of the car and injured himself. This guy, hasn't he? And Dean's like stepping on his broken leg or something. And Levi's like, "I'm a doctor. I'll help you. But if you don't help me, I'll unleash my friend." Dean stood there like...
He is stood there like a little terrier, though, like ready to bite, isn't he? It's like so funny. Yeah.
I think this has made me real. I really miss Dean and Ziggy.
Yeah.
I think you can't deny what they brought to the show during their tenure, and I think it's testament to how popular they are.
Yeah.
How much I'm enjoying these episodes, and I think it's so good that they agreed to come back. And what I like is that Paddy and Sophie obviously love the show as well.
Yeah.
And want to support it. And are sort of tied to it. And I think we've had this once. They'd be tempted to do it again in the future.
And I think the fans would lap it up as well. It's got loads of praise on social media this week.
Yeah.
So
very popular. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's a stepping stone to a more longer term sort of return. Particularly if they're living so close to a high profile prison.
Oh dear.
Because not even Yabby Creek's got one of them. Do you know what I mean? Loved it. Roll on next week, I say. Roll on next week. Right, Irene's had her schedule changed, just like the show itself. Bloody snooker. And Maz, it was Maz in her case, though, who she needs to offload all her Eliza drama that we touched on before. And Irene doesn't really go mad at this, which surprised me, actually. And I made note of it because I thought, up until this point, Irene's been really, quite on this schedule, and can't deviate an ounce, a minute. You'll remember that, what's her name, Leah? Leah was late for one of these power walks, and it caused all sorts of disarray. Not a week earlier, so I I was a bit taken aback by Irene's lack of reaction. I didn't know whether it was progress or not, or something to be worried about. And Dana's wondering why she isn't going to the wedding. I'm thinking, oh, for God's sake, Dana, it's quite obvious. And she actually gets to the point where she makes Irene explain it. There's going to be alcohol there. I can't be in a room full of that right now. I'm really I'm struggling to keep my head above water here. And we've spoken now for about 3 or 4 weeks about why she really shouldn't even be at home at this point. She should be back where she was. She's not ready for it. So I don't think it needs elaborating too much more. But apparently it does for Dana. And Dana's like, I'll give you all the support. Like, oh, you'll be fine. I thought that was a bit. I thought that was a bit
flippant.
Yeah, that's a good word. I think Dana's not really understanding the gravitas of the situation.
No.
Oh, don't worry, I'll hold your hand. I'll sit with you at the wedding. You'll be fine. No, she's in a room full of fucking booze.
Yeah.
Get a grip, girl.
At a party. She's at a party.
Yeah.
Like an alcoholic at a party. Like there's a joke there, isn't there? It's not funny. Of
course there is.
It's not even a funny joke.
The correct answer was, I understand exactly what you mean, and
of course. Why didn't I see it before? Of course you wouldn't want to go, oh my God, I've been so stupid. I'm so sorry for pressuring you.
Yeah.
That was the right answer.
If ever you had a reason to not go to a wedding, a legitimate reason, it's I've just got out of rehab 2 days ago, Dan. Like, I wish I could use it.
I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll not need my dietary requirements of meal choice because rehab. Like, you know what I mean? I'm going to use it. So what I've literally written down on my notes here. What are people not getting?
Yeah.
She's not getting the right support here at all.
No.
And to help her feel normal, Irene decides that she's going to go back to work the next day. And I thought, okay, I'm not against. No, fair enough. But of course, what does that mean? It means it messes up the plan, the schedule, the routine that she's used to. And that's exactly what happened. She's at the coffee cart where she belongs. People are commenting on it. Cash is saying, nice to see you, all that jazz. And she starts to say, look, I'm feeling under the spotlight. People are judging me. They're talking about me. Clearly, everybody knows where I've been. And she ends up, before we know it, insult, eyeing up the shelf full of spirits, isn't she? Biting Eden's head off. She does eventually order water in the next episode. Had a sleepless night in between. And then Channel 5 didn't upload the bloody episode on time. It prolonged it even more. But luckily she ordered a glass of water. And I was like, thank God. And Cash talked to her and she admits that she was about to order a drink. But you know what? She didn't. And that deserves a round of applause, because can you imagine someone watching this show, even one person who has struggled like she has with alcohol, sees someone muster that kind of, that is a hell of a lot of strength. And I applaud them for showing that, to be honest with you. It wasn't hidden. It wasn't behind closed doors. It wasn't round the back of the bins where no one could see her. She was stood in the middle of the busiest place in town, contemplating, and she won. She won that fight that day.
Yeah, she did.
Like,
although
over the disease.
She doesn't see it that way, does she? She's still saying like, oh, I'm off my rocker and I wish I was the old Irene and I don't know why I'm like this. And she doesn't see. I think it takes a few people to tell her, yes, you still struggling, but you're only just out of rehab, and actually you tested yourself and you passed. You win. You went into a bar, you contemplated having a drink, and you came out having 2 sips of water. That's a win. But she thinks she failed, doesn't she? She sees it as a failure.
She's really down on herself, isn't she?
So that's
I'm a stuff up, she says.
She needs the counselling still. So if it was a counsellor that was having weekly meetings with her and saying, how did you get on this week? Or even daily meetings, how did you get on today? Take it a day at a time. That's what they say, isn't it? So today I had a moment of weakness, but I didn't give in to it. A counsellor would be going, well, that's great. It's working. You're putting it into practice now. You're out in the wild. you want to drink because you're an alcoholic, but you're not doing it. You're not giving in, and you're winning. Like,
Yeah.
it's mad, isn't it?
I
And it's
agree.
mad
It's that
again.
external
Mm.
influence. It's that external feedback, isn't it, that she's not getting since she left the facility.
No.
And when she gets it, she gets that external reassurance from Rose and Dana.
Yeah.
She believes it then.
Yeah.
You know, eventually, when they tell her, they reassure her, this is what we're seeing.
But why
You know,
are they
she's
telling her? That's another thing that's weird. You know, when you said about earlier, you said she's not getting the right support. She's back at work. She's back at work, and where's her business partner? Where's Leah? Leah's one of her oldest friends, and again this week she's visibly absent. She's not been in a single episode this week, I don't think, Leah. She should be crucial to Irene's return, being her business partner, being one of her oldest friends, being one of the instigators that busted Irene out of rehab in the first place. John's gone to the city with his tail between his legs to visit Jet, you know, under that cloud of Irene being mean to him and him wanting to get away. But she hasn't done that to Leah. Where's Leah this week?
I know.
It's really weird, this.
It is. Leah's throughout this whole thing has been odd. Even when she's been there, it's been weird.
Yeah. She's not been a supportive friend.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I know she's a bit of a douchebag as well, but this is bad even for Leah, surely. Isn't it? I just think it's just weird.
She's not even there. And I mean, even, you know, I think we're supposed to read between the lines that between her, Maz, and not John, because he's not allowed. I said that they're supposed to be off screen, off camera, taking it in turns to do whatever. But she's now no longer following this daily schedule, and it's not been explained that Maz and Leah have been informed of this.
No.
You know, and are not like the timing's off. You know, Leah ought to be there, like, oh, you're back at work, okay.
Yeah.
So we're not going power walking, we're not doing tea at 2. You know, those kind of things. I mean, this week, after this talking to, like you say, it's strange people that she's ended up getting support from. And when she goes back to work again the day after in a much more positive set, because she's had this talk with Rose and Dana, she's been in the watch that's beeping all the time. You know, like, where are Leah and I'm going to include Maz in that as well, who promised to be there day in, day out for her.
Yeah.
But Leah's copping it because she actually went there and dragged her home.
Yeah. Yeah, she's got blood on her hands, Leah, if this turns bad, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think I think us as the audience and the fans will park a lot of blame at Leah if something was to happen here that's not favourable, because she was a big part of instigating it all and then went MIA.
Yeah. Yeah.
When, you know, really she should have been moving in with her.
Yeah. Or at least checking in on her daily and being there at work. You know, she's gone back to work and Leah's not there. Some random person that we didn't ever have a line was at the coffee cart. Where was Leah?
Yeah.
Why isn't she there welcoming her back and saying, oh, you know, this, that, and the other? I just find this really strange.
It is weird.
Absence of her. It's obviously on purpose, but what's the purpose? That's what I can't get my head around.
Unless, like, if Ada's needed time off for whatever reason, then they've written it. They've gone about this wrong. You know, if Ada needed time off, that should have been explained in the script
at the same time as Shane as well. You know what I mean? They're both off screen. As she might be seeing Irene off screen, we might not be hearing about it or whatever. But that's not how it's been written. It's been written that she's just not even there.
Yeah,
That's
and it's not even been explained. It's weird. It is weird. It's very weird, and it makes you hard to get on board with Leah. You know, yet again. You know, there's just example after example as the years rumble on. Of this. Recently watched some old stuff for something that will come soon, and it's the exact same thing 25 years ago.
That's mad, isn't it? It is part of her character then, so it's not like the writers are, you know, making her unbelievable or changing her or anything like that. It's just it does feel a little bit this week that even for Leah, this is too far.
Yeah. Do you know there's always somebody in life that just gets away with murder?
Yeah.
She's one of them, isn't she?
Yeah, she is, unfortunately.
She's one of them.
And whereas Maz is like the nicest person ever and gets absolutely crapped on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crap, innit?
Mm.
Crap. Theo and Sonny are having brekkie at Salt for a change.
Who's paying doll?
You guessed it. And Riverboy Gage is propped up at the bar, overheard them. Dresses them as, hey, you greasy monkeys. And he gives them his number and says, look, you're looking to make a quick buck. I need a mechanic. You know where to find me. I'm looking for someone who wants to make some money, basically, fast. And when he reaches out and hands over the paper, I had a bit of a flutter. And then I saw the tattoo on Gage's forearm. Those 3 words that makes the hair stand up on the back of your neck as a viewer of this show: blood and sand. And then so that's my first thought. Blooming hell, we've got River Boys back. Second thought was, blooming hell, they only came back last show, we made a big deal of it, and then they went. Third thought was, I've seen this person before. And I was texting you, wasn't I? Thinking, I've seen this bloody guy before. I've seen him before. He was in the show as a different character only about 5 years ago.
I was thinking about this. You know, you texted me this and you said he was, because when you reminded, I couldn't remember him at all, and you reminded me and you said he was the bad boy back then. He was a friend of Ryder's and they were at school trying to get out of a lesson or out of an exam or something. And Gage wanted, the guy that plays Gage, he played, was it Blake, did you say he played before?
Yeah.
He wanted to drug Maggie Estoney because she was like invigilating the exam. And I thought this was a really missed opportunity, actually, because a guy like that who behaved like that at school, it would be believable that as an adult, he would end up in a Riverboy gang.
Yeah.
And I thought it's a shame that it's not the same character and brought back years later to the Bay, still kicking around.
Yeah.
They don't need to give him a new name. They just need to give him an extra 5 years of content, backstory.
He's now joined the gang, and I agree. Why waste a new name?
That would have been more interesting if someone else had recognised him and gone, oh God, he's a bad, and he used to hang around with Ryder and got him into loads of trouble at school. And it looks like he's joined the Riverboys now. That would have been really interesting.
Yeah. And then there's a chance that some, like, Rue or someone could recognise him if he's in the Bay.
Exactly, yeah. Oh, well, I remember him from when I used to work at school. He's right wrong on him. Stay away. Yeah.
Yeah, defo. Would have been interesting, wouldn't it? Again, I mean, we've come to expect this kind of thing, haven't we?
We have. I just think it's a shame because if we've got somebody that was on the show before and played a character like that could have escalated into this, if he wasn't an angel at school, he's probably going to grow up to be a bit of a bad boy. It's not. Not everybody would be like that, but it's not beyond the realms of possibility for him to carry on being, involved in criminal activity, is it? So
no, exactly.
It's a shame. That continuity again. We just need a little bit more of it, guys. A little bit more.
Yeah, and it's not that long ago.
No, exactly.
It's not like you can,
you remembered
too much time. I know. As soon as I don't forget a pretty face. So he's given him his number and he said, look, hit me up. And, we know Theo's having trouble with money, and he's in his money worries, etc. And as soon as we can say Riverboy, Sonny himself ends up in a bit of a money situation because he is alone at the share house one night with Bree, gets to talking, bottle of Savvy Bees opened, isn't it? And how much, basically that Remy's had an easy pass in his eyes, and this has been a bit of an ongoing theme. He's been getting more and more vocal as the episodes have rumbled on in the last couple of weeks, hasn't he? About Remy and Silver Spoon, and he's had it easy and I've had it hard, and my family went bust and his didn't and all the rest of it. And this week, the mask slipped, didn't it? And he slipped up with what he said on First Look last week, and it turns out he said some of this stuff in front of Remy. That was the slip up, and Remy's like, do we have a problem here? So Remy's now aware that there is this side to Sonny, or there is this train of thought in Sonny's mind of, you get everything and I get nothing, sort of thing. And this extends to his girlfriend, because the savvy bees are flowing. He's bitching about Remy. He feels like she's sided with him, because she sort of says, I understand how you feel. She was being empathetic, wasn't she? And understanding. She wasn't agreeing with him wholeheartedly, but he reads the signals wrong and tries to kiss her, which then becomes a massive thing. And she very rightly says to Remy straight away, "Are you going to tell him, or am I? You can't be behaving like this, Sonny. You've taken this way too far. You're taking the complete piss out of him, basically." To summarize, and he chucks him out, doesn't he, Remy? And I was a bit deflated, because I really wanted him to see him beat him up. I thought he was going to kill him.
Yeah, I did as well.
And I would have quite liked to have seen that, but no, he
no,
threw him out.
It's good that he didn't, because I think it's good that Remy didn't react to violence. You know what I mean? Then we would have a reason to slag him off and say,
I suppose, yeah.
I'm glad that he didn't. I'm glad he was the bigger bloke. I found this totally bizarre, because this conversation that he was having with Brie, it was totally uncalled for in so many ways, but not least because he was slagging Remy off and saying, oh, he gets everything handed to him on a plate, gets it so easy, blah, blah, blah. And at this point, Remy wasn't in the room, because Remy, the millionaire, was at work. And I was like, how can you slag off someone who's a millionaire, who's at a job right now, when you are unemployed, loafing around in someone else's house, drinking someone else's drinks, eating someone else's food, and kissing someone else's girlfriend? Like, there's a glass house and lots of stones here, guys. Like, that's ridiculous. I don't know how he's got the gall to say anything about him when Remy's got a job and he's a bloody millionaire. Hello.
I know, we were messaging him saying, has he just gone to work and he's got a 3 million in the bank?
He's got 5 million in the bank.
Well, minus a few brekkies.
I just thought it was so weird. I get it. I get that he hates him, and I get that he's jealous and all of that sort of stuff. But to then have a go at him behind his back while he's at work...
I know. This isn't a friend. This isn't a friend, is it?
No.
Far from it.
No.
I am convinced more. I clocked this from the very beginning. He was here.
He did.
He was here for it. He was here for getting back what he feels like he's owed. He's hard done by. And he's here. I mean, Remy even says it. You smelled money and came running.
Yeah.
And I clocked it from the moment he came.
He hasn't denied it. Like he's been overtly using his credit card. He's been overtly asking him for money and doing. So I don't feel like he's here. He's not here to scam him necessarily. He's doing it openly. And I get why he's jealous. I just don't really understand why he thinks Remy's responsible for his lack of money, his lack of drive, his lack of job.
I know.
Why is he not more angry with his dad? Why is he not pissed off with his parents for losing all this money that he thinks he's so entitled to for doing absolutely fuck all? I don't get it.
Well, I'm going to share something with you now that might help you get it. It's a theory.
Yeah,
okay.
I like a theory. Go on.
It's a fan theory.
Ooh.
And it's definitely made me think a little bit differently about the situation when this person gave me their thoughts. And they won't mind me saying this. So, friend of the pod, Tamsin, talks to us a lot about, we've done lots of things, talks to us a lot about the show. I was talking to her in the week about this, right? And she was telling me, wouldn't it be interesting if, and she gets full credit for this theory, but it is a good theory, right? I've bigged it up now. You ready?
I'm ready.
Wouldn't it be interesting if it turns out that they're brothers?
Oh.
That there was an affair with the parents, and actually that that sort of money sitch should have been also with him, but he
Oh.
ended. Do you know what I mean?
So, like, maybe they've got the same dad,
Yeah,
but then his dad that's not really his dad is the one that's lost the money, and his real dad is the one that's loaded.
yeah, Remy's dad,
Whoa.
and then therefore he also.
Feels like he's entitled to Remy's dad's money.
Yes, yes.
That's interesting.
If we get that, that could be good.
It would explain it, because at the moment I am a little bit like, I get that he's jealous, and like, yeah, okay, it looks to him like Remy's had it easy. Remy's been just given this money, and he would have been in the same boat had his dad not messed up and lost it or whatever. I just don't understand why that's Remy's problem to fix, and why
I know. Yeah, completely
why
agree.
Remy's money is, he feels entitled to Remy's money. That doesn't make sense to me. But that theory would actually answer that question.
It would help, wouldn't it, if it was that?
Yeah, it would.
Because he's just looking like he's having a brat summer.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
as the kids say.
He does. Yeah.
And he's, it's it's that typical, it's everybody else's fault in life, rather than work for it. And there's one thing you cannot blame Remy for. Remy he's had nothing to do with his family's riches, actually.
No.
And he has gone through the struggle of life. As an artist.
He's tried to distance himself.
Yeah. He's not never worked a day in his life. He's bloody busked for pennies.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
for
so
a beer.
yeah. So what he's painting him out to be isn't the kind of person he is,
No, but I'm wondering whether Remy is like that because of Sonny, and because of what happened to him, and how jealous he knew he was when his family went bankrupt. And then I think Remy's probably distanced himself from the money because of that. You could retcon that quite easily, I think.
Yeah, of course you could. Yeah. So it's quite complex, actually, if you start sort of scratching beneath the surface. So Sonny's sleeping in his car, it's realised the next day he's still got Remy's credit card. So Remy cancels the credit card, which causes a bit of a stir at breakfast because Theo suddenly has to pay. So this is where the money situation problem comes in. And then Sonny remembers that Gage, the river boy, he doesn't know he's a river boy. Gage is completely naive and clueless here. But he's like, this bloke at the bar gave me his number. We can make a quick buck. So they go up and meet him at this yard, and it's just absolutely crawling with river boys. And we're seeing sort of Theo looking at all the blood and sand tattoos and clocking it, and he knows what it is.
Yeah.
And this sort of apprehension to get involved. What did happen, however, there was a very attractive young lady there, and I brought my dinner up at some of the dialogue.
It was very innuendo heavy dialogue, wasn't it? It was worse than us on a drunken Friday night podcast, actually.
Yes. But yeah. But like times the cringe up. Like it was horrendous. It was like horsepower and
regular servicing.
Oh God. Oh.
You can't handle what's under here. It was so cringe. I actually did love it. I loved it. It was funny, but I was cringing.
My skin was inside out by the time the title sequence was rolling.
I thought it was funny, but yeah.
It doesn't help that I'm watching it with my morning coffee.
That's true. Yeah, I couldn't have faced that at 7 a.m. Good point. Yeah, no. I much prefer
bran
it
flakes were curdling. And we quickly see he does the job, doesn't he? They get paid, right? And we quickly see it turns out that Theo's worked things out here. There's illegal drag racing going on. Sonny's like, ask no questions, we're getting paid, not quite really understanding the gravitas of who these people are. Theo sort of mentions, look, we're in deep doo-doo here. Doesn't really explicitly tell him it's a notorious gang. But he hasn't really got a chance to, really. And this girl who he's been flirting up a storm with looks like she's attached to this Gage fella. So it's like, you don't want to go there with the barge pole, do you? You do not want to be on the wrong side of these guys.
No.
And we sort of see them leaving this compound saying, oh, no, we can't do that again. Like, this is it. And Sonny's not really getting it, is he? He's like, God, it's easy money, that. Easy money, And yes, so there's obviously some trouble here. The Riverboys seem to be back on the show again. I don't know how I feel, considering how sort of lackluster last year's Riverboy return was. Was that like a trial run? I don't know. Like, I'm a bit like, is this necessary?
Yeah, I mean, last year's Riverboys were different. I don't know. I haven't quite got my head around this new version of Riverboys that we're seeing at the moment. But it does seem to be, they are involved in criminal activity. Last year, it just seemed to be they hung around outside the police station and just taunted Cash and drank beers, and it was a bit juvenile. Whereas this looks like a proper operation. They're doing something, and they're obviously making money because they're handing over wads of cash to Theo like it's nothing.
Yeah.
So this feels
we've had
a bit more grown up than last year's were a bit juvenile and a bit like, oh, I'm going to sit outside your work and just look at you and drink a beer. It was a bit like, what are they playing at? These are grown men. And they're just taunting a copper. It just felt a bit silly last year.
Yeah, we were. Because we were calling them Timu Riverboys.
They're not scary, were they? It was a bit weird. Just go and get a job, love. You know what I mean? Just.
I don't think it's a coincidence that they're back. In our conscience, anyway, the same week that Cash gets his senior role back.
Yes, I think that is.
That is definitely. Yes. Yeah, that's definitely sort of a mirror sort of crescendo, if you like. They're mirroring each other. And, Cash is basically the Riverboy meet your maker, isn't it? He's brought them down last time. And, that's something that's been woven throughout the show for sort of the past 15 years, basically, since this was first a thing.
Yeah.
And you're right. These look like they're a little bit more interesting than last year's. They're not just drinking beer and, like you say, we have had peppered information. Like, we know that the police station's been closed down, so therefore they're probably running the town. Like, we have had little glimpses, and obviously we've been surmising the last couple of weeks. There's been a few out and out mentions of them at the police station. So, it's not a complete surprise that they're here. And we're seeing them again. But there's been subtle hints in the script of, like, Mangrove River's now a no-go zone, and there's lots of stuff going on there. There's no police station that's been closed down. So of course, if these river boys were going to visit them again, it's going to be escalated because of that.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be. So I'm willing to go with it for now and see how we go. They never usually last long.
No.
It's not like a Braxton type tenure, is it? It's just a part of the area that the show is setting now. This gang operates, and we see them every now and then.
And the Braxtons were different, weren't they? Because once they kind of integrated into the Bay, got girlfriends and what have you, the criminal activity, it was there, but it didn't necessarily dominate like it's doing at the moment with this drag racing stuff, where it's really in your face, So I don't expect this to be a long-term thing. I expect this to be something that Theo and Sonny get caught up in. It escalates to a point where the story has to come to an end. I don't know what it'll be. And then they'll be gone, because Cash will be there booking them and doing whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be one of those, like you say, it could be a couple of months of storyline, but they're not going to be in it. They're not going to be permanent characters. They're guest characters.
I'd be surprised if so.
Yeah, me
definitely.
Too. Yeah. Right, Si, guess what I've been doing?
Have you been going to illegal drag racing?
Oh, nearly. Not dragging.
Sachet? Away.
Sachet? No way. Not dragging. I've been digging though.
Oh.
I've been digging through social meds.
Oh, okay. It's the other thing you like to do. Got you.
That's the hobby I have at the weekend. The one I'm allowed to talk about because it's perfectly legal. Yes. I've been digging through social meds. I've been reading comments from people that have watched Home and Away in the UK this week. Not from the people that have missed it because they didn't realise it was on 5-star on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday this week. Please catch up on the 5 app if you haven't already, guys. Because when you tune in on Monday, you won't have a bloody clue what's going on. Unless you've listened to
and
the
you'll have
podcast.
wondered why you watched 5 hours of snooker during the day.
Oh, who does? Who does? Anyway, quick reminder before we get on with what people are saying on social medias. We are on social medias. So Coastal News Podcast at Coastal News Pod, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, Twitter, Blue Sky, etc. We're on it. We also tweet along live while we watch the show because we watch the show at 6:30 till 7 p.m. Monday to Friday at the 5-star first look pace. And we jump on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. We use the hashtag Home and Away UK. We tweet our thoughts and other people tweet theirs and we all have a big chat about it. And then I read it on this segment of the podcast. So send us a tweet. You might end up on here. You never know. If you can't tweet for any reason, you are free to email us. And the email address is coastalnewspod@gmail.com as well. And we've had an email. We have had an email from one of the Twitter gang.
Ooh.
Jamie that normally talks to us on the old Twitter X tweet along hashtag Home and Away UK has sent us an email this week. I think this is the first email
That's
we've had
one
off
way.
Jamie.
It's one way around the character limit.
That's true, yeah. Up yours, Musk. Anyway, not paying for your premium.
Up you are.
Up you Musk. Oh dear. We've had an email from Jamie, so I'm going to read that out now. So it says, I've got a few thoughts that are too long to tweet. Yes, you were right about the character limit. So I thought I'd email. I could be wrong about it all, so don't take my word for any of it. Read it out in the pod or don't. Well, I'm gonna. You've challenged me now. I'm gonna do it.
Don't bait her.
Don't threaten me with a good time. Anyway, Jamie says, firstly, I wouldn't worry too much about Irene's storyline, being that this is the next 5 months or so, and that's not how soaps roll. So he doesn't think this is going to be dragged on for the next however long we've got left. Because that's one of our fears, isn't it? We said that last week. One of our fears was that this, possibly relapsing storyline could be her exit story, and that's what we're scared of.
Can't stop thinking about the exit, can we? And trying to work out what it's going to be, and
and you can't, because the deadline's there. You can't help but think about it. But Jamie says this is how this is not how soaps work. It's not going to roll on for the next 5 months or go. So I'm going to try and be positive, Jamie, and take your advice. But I still feel a bit concerned about Irene, I'll be honest, and the fact that we've got that departure date. I think if we didn't know she was leaving, I think I wouldn't be as stressed about it.
Yeah, I've said that a few times as well.
Yeah, but I am. I'll be honest, I'm stressed.
Same.
Yeah. I don't know whether this is a spoiler or whether Jamie's just theorising here. So Jamie says, it looks like Kirby's also leaving soon, not too far behind Rose. Now, I don't know anything about Kirby leaving. So...
No, it's something else that it's crossed my mind the last week or so. Given the resurgence of this blooming solo again, this solo career that we've not really covered because we're just not really into it.
We've already seen it. We've already talked about this when it happened last time. So we're over it, doll.
We're just like, okay, right, okay.
This again.
Why? Because you're sort of looking for a reason as to why we're doing the same thing again, and the plausible, most obvious reason is that she's off skis.
Yes, and that's the conclusion that Jamie's come to as well. So Jamie says this week looks like it'll be a rehash of her getting her solo deal, and this is what's actually making me want to write the email. So he says they made a big deal of her tearing up her solo contract a week after she signed it so she could rejoin Lyric, which then broke up again a month later. She's since started work at the board shop with Dower Marley. I agree with that. and had one storyline about body image and skin lightening, which somehow ended up being about Leah in the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's right. When she finally gets a story of her own, she then gets eclipsed by somebody else. So it's a shame, isn't it? I don't want to have a go at the writers, Jamie says, of the show, because I've dabbled in writing myself, but it feels lazy. She's been on the show for 3 years, and with her leaving, I barely even know her. I only just worked out that her surname is Moana, which is a great surname because it's got Moana in it. I did know her name. I can't say that name very easily because I can't get my tongue around it. Moana. I did know her name was that because I'm sure they made a big deal of her.
That's been mentioned a few times. In fact,
Yeah.
we heard it a lot during the last solo.
Exactly, and also during
Adventure.
the social media stuff with the petition when she was going live on her socials and she was saying her name
Yeah.
and stuff. I'm sure we said it on that as well. But yeah, but that shows that Jamie hasn't connected with Kirby because he didn't even know her surname. So that shows how little he knows about her after 3 years. So he's right. He's making a good point there, isn't he? About
it is.
them not developing. Yeah.
And we've touched on this a little bit, mainly talking about some other characters. Like we were talking about Rose because we definitely know Rose is going now. She's taking this other job. And yeah, the long goodbye, another week. I know, but there's and Xander as well, and we've been talking lately about it's that time every 3 years, 3 year cycle, isn't it? We've been here before, long term viewers, and you sort of start reflecting and you think, I think this is the period where we've got so many characters that we've really not done many things with.
Yeah.
It's interesting that we've ended up in this situation.
It is.
And you start sort of analysing it a bit, don't you? Thinking, why? Who's had all the airtime? What have we been watching?
And it's mad that some of the newer characters, like Dana, have had way more storylines than some of the people that have been around for years. And I wonder how those actors feel. I wonder how the actors feel that are playing Rose and Kirby feel about the fact that Dana has had loads of storylines since she's joined.
Yeah.
And she's in scenes with John all the time. She's in scenes with Irene all the time. And Kirby's not.
Yeah, exactly. And is it like a way of, does the show operate a bit different now? Like, are they on different contracts? Like, are they only on like 2 episode a week contracts, or
maybe?
Is it a cost thing? There's got to be a reason this is different.
Yeah,
it's quite interesting.
Or maybe the writers just prefer writing for some characters and not for others. We don't know, do we?
There's that. Yeah.
We don't know. We haven't got a clue. But anyway, Jamie says it's the same with Rose, who we've just been talking about, who'll be gone in the next couple of weeks. They've barely even scratched the surface there. I don't want to go on about the diversity of the show, but Rose, Kirby, and to an extent Marley have been given a disservice in their writing, which might show a lack of diversity in the writers the show has. If you search for Home and Away in the Twitter GIFs, there are lots of GIFs of Willow and Alex, and that says a lot about the viewers and what they want more of. That's an interesting take, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, that Willix thing went wild.
It was mad. That was huge. It blew up, that didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It did.
But yeah, he raises some good points there, to be fair. You can't rehear that and not have a think about it, really.
Yeah. And then the final line from Jamie was, anyway, thanks for reading my nonsense. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
We enjoyed your nonsense.
Thanks for listening to ours.
Yeah, exactly. We owe you a thank you for that, for all the hours you've spent and for tweeting us and everything else, Jamie, as well. So yeah, appreciate you emailing in. That was good to hear.
Thank you.
I'm going to jump on social medias now then, after my email. I've only got one email to read out this week. So Diggy, if you go and look on any of the social medias this week and look at any of the Home and Away posts, you will see literally hundreds of comments saying the same thing over and over and over again. People saying how great it is to have Dean and Ziggy back in the Bay, well, not back in the Bay, but back on the show, how they wish they were back permanently, and how this is the best storyline we've had for ages, and all of this stuff. Loads and loads and loads and loads of tweets like that. Loads of tweets about Karen getting a lot of love as well, saying, I wish Karen was permanent. I wish she'd come back to the Bay. So this storyline has been wildly popular. We knew it would be because these two are so popular on social media with the fans as well. So I'm going to read out a few comments. I'm not going to read out all the
You've not got time for them all, no.
I'm not going to read out all the I love them comments. I'm trying to pick
Yeah.
out the ones that are slightly different from just the I love Ziggy and I'm glad they're back.
It's nice, though, to hear something positive. Normally it's critical, isn't it, when people take to the internet?
It is. No, it's overwhelmingly positive. But I've tried to pick out some of the different comments as well to read out, because it's just a bit more interested to get them all different. Because I could sit here and read 250 of ones just saying I love Diggy, and it wouldn't be very interesting, but it is the popular vote. Mr. David on Twitter said, I bloody love Karen, and can Levi and Mac bring her back to Summer Bay with them? So that sums up a lot of the messages that I was seeing. Emma Gravy Monster says, oh good God, welcome back Karen, I love you. So lots of messages like that, lots of messages about both of them, Ziggy and Dean being back as well. Mr. David and a lot of other people on social media are talking about how amazing Queensland looks. Mr. David says, is this Home and Away or the Real Housewives of Queensland? The locations are stunning. Yeah, there's lots of people saying, I want to book a trip to Queensland now and go and see it. And it looks amazing. It looks like Malibu. It looks like paradise. So like you say, they've done a really good sort of plug for the tourism of Australia with this.
Yeah. Absolutely insane, some of the scenery on this week. Yeah.
Mad. Everybody's lapping it up. We're loving it because it's so far removed from what we have here, It's nothing like what we have here.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. You can't get that down, Hastings Beach. So it's not the same. It's just not the same. But then a lot of people like us, we were talking about the return of Dean and actually forgetting how much of a douchebag he can be. A lot of people were saying the same thing. So Tara on Twitter was saying, can Dean have some judgment for his sister, seeing as she was willingly sleeping with a married man too? We can't put all the blame on Levi. Good point. Why are we jumping on Levi when actually Mac was, she knew? It wasn't like he lied and said, oh, I'm not married. He said from the beginning, I'm married, and she was like, yeah, I know. So
well,
she's not innocent in this, is she? And Dean's not seeing that. Dean's not seeing her involvement in the affair. He's just seeing Levi's.
No, yeah, and I think we sort of last week touched on his own moral history. And he's choosing not to look at that either. I think he's very selective. He's very reactive. I don't think he thinks. Actually, there was times this week I just thought, what is Ziggy doing with him?
I think it's. They've always been a bit mismatched. That's why they work, though, isn't it? There's always that in that couple that works. There's always the kind of why is she with him?
Yeah.
Couldn't she do better?
Yeah. Do you think she knows? Yeah.
There's always that they're the most interesting couples, though, aren't they? When they're not quite fully compatible, and you're just like, what is it about him that you like? But apart from the obvious, yeah. Mr. David made me laugh. Mr. David said, not that I can condone lying and cheating, but Dean is hardly Mother Teresa in a vest, is he? That did make me laugh.
True.
Yeah, he's or Mother Teresa. I don't know how you say that. Mother Teresa. People say different things, but you know who I mean. You know who I mean. That lovely nun.
Teresa.
Nun from Calcutta. Her. Jamie says, Dean, you're being a flaming drongo, mate. I can't do the accent clearly, but that is what everyone is saying this week. That we forgot that Dean is a drongo. We forgot. Sue Carter on Facebook says, I can't believe Dean is such a plank still. Yeah.
Once a Dean, always a Dean.
Always a Dean. Jeff Britton on Facebook says Dean is an arse with an exclamation mark. And Shirley says, yeah, I can't remember him being as petty as this. Absolutely pathetic. So, although
he was, though.
Everyone's loving. This is what I find interesting. Everybody wants them back. Everybody loves Ziggy and Dean, but we also love to say that Dean is a bit of an idiot.
Yeah.
He is, but we still love him for it, don't we? We still.
Dean sort of represents the Aussie man, doesn't he? in like every stereotype going.
Yeah.
And I think he's. I think everyone knows a Dean.
Mm,
You know,
yeah.
sits there mouthing off, having a beer.
Yeah.
You know, and
pointing the
but
finger,
we all
but
put up with him.
doesn't realise how many fingers are pointing back. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
he's not
yeah.
blameless, but he's got absolutely no
Yeah,
self-awareness.
yeah. But you sort of accept it.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird, isn't it?
It is weird. It's funny. I've loved how many comments would like. I love seeing them back, but oh my god, Dean, what an idiot! But they still want
Yeah.
him. They still want him on the show permanently, even though they're slagging him off. It's hilarious. He's just one of those characters that you just can't help but love, though, even though he does your head in, I think.
Yeah.
Julie on Twitter said, I'd forgotten how difficult an aggro Dean was. Yeah, lots of comments like this. Helen Kate on Facebook says, it's good to see Dean, Ziggy and Karen again, and I like that Dean and Karen have been bringing Levi down a peg or two, because he's a tool. Yeah.
I mean, come on, if they don't accept Levi after this.
Yes. Yeah. You're gonna have to, aren't you? This is the slow burn back to acceptance. Yeah. It's just one of those soap things. Victoria on Twitter says, I'd started to like Levi, but it's really given me the ick the last couple of days. Laughing emoji. Oh dear, it's so funny. Craig on Facebook.
That's a stolen car type.
Yeah,
days.
Just like the goodiness of it, I think, is a bit like, oh, just get a grip, love. Your girlfriend's been kidnapped at knife point. Just get in the bloody car.
I was going to say, you can, if giving you the ick is giving you a 3-tier shrimp afternoon tea and champagne.
I don't think it's that. No.
Yeah, it's the other stuff.
It's the wimpy stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think so. I'm reading between the lines, but I think it's that. I don't think it's the romantic niceness. Maybe it is. I don't know. Craig on Facebook says Saint Dean. Don't know who the guy thinks he is, to be honest. Spent his whole life terrorizing people as a river boy and suddenly thinks he can preach to people about wrong and right, pleb.
I mean, you'd have thought an affair here and there wouldn't bat an eyelid, would you? Really?
I know. I tell you what made me laugh. You know, when they were listening to the radio and the radio said, oh, and this one's a murderer. And Levi was absolutely horrified and he was like, he's a murderer. He's a murderer. And I was like, you're sitting next to someone that helped his best mate bury a body.
Buried his best mate's stepdad in the desert.
He's got absolutely no idea who he's in a car with, has he? He's a murderer. I'm like, yeah, so's all of Dean's mates.
I do quite like that he's ended up in this situation, Levi's, I mean, as long as he doesn't get back to the bay and he's like, Mac, who the hell are you?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But yes, I think, you know, before they went and he was like, it's fine, families love me. Don't worry about it.
I'll win him round.
I'll win him round. And Mac's like, he's got no fucking idea. Yeah.
Dean is feral. AF.
Do you think she'd mention a gang member brother before now, though?
You think? Well, it sounds like she told him. He said something like, "Oh yeah, Max said you were in a gang," which came out so camp. I was just like, it sounded so funny. Like, oh yeah, she said you were in a gang. It sounded really teenage and stupid.
Yeah,
and I was
the
like,
S Club 7 fan club.
It sounded something like that. And then I was like, yes, but did she fill you in on that? Like, how dangerous the gang was when he was in it? You know what I mean? Like, he obviously hasn't got a clue, and that's why it's so funny. That's clueless Levi, awkward Levi, non-braggy, you know, Levi is actually more endearing than that smarmy, you know, confident prick that came on the show in the beginning. So, yeah. Yes, so funny. Mr. David's got thoughts on Levi as well. Mr. David says, Levi is the poster child for how not to make friends and endear yourself to other people. Dude, Dean will throw you to the sharks if you're not careful. So yeah, it's true.
Even when he watched Dean hotwire the car, he was like shocked. I'm thinking, this is like...
He doesn't know.
Child's play.
He doesn't know who he is. It's so funny. It's like, what has Mac told him? I'd love to know. Does Mac even know how bad Dean is? I don't know. Not sure. And then a couple of people were tweeting us and asking us about Dean's tattoos. Where's Dean's tattoos? Nina says.
Where's the tat, Nina?
Jodie on Facebook says, has anyone noticed that Dean's tattoos disappeared? Yes, we have. Don't you worry. We did notice. I had to go back and look, but Si noticed and he told me. So, yes.
Yeah. I mean, Channel 5 have posted on the Home and Away UK pages a behind-the-scenes shot of the tattoos being applied.
Yeah, we've seen it. Yeah.
Uh,
I think Laura Vasquez wasn't flying up to Queensland to put them on. I think that's the problem.
That's what it is.
Yeah, or somebody on the makeup, team wasn't available to fly up there and put them on daily. I think that was it. I don't know why Paddy just doesn't get that tattoo now. It's just his now. He might as well just get it.
I know.
The amount of times he's playing Dean, he might as well just get that tat. A lot easier than sticking it back on.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Paddy, if you're listening.
Get your tat. So there was confusion about Dean's tattoo and the disappearance of it. There was also confusion on Facebook about where Queensland actually is in Australia, because Sophie Foster says, I wish they'd come back to Summer Bay permanently, and as it's in Melbourne, bring Xander back with them. Melbourne is very, very far away from Queensland. It's at least 1,000 kilometers or miles or whatever. I don't know. It's far. Let's put it that way. It's far away. So yeah, I think that's unlikely that they'll be bringing back Xander with them, but we never know. It's Home and Away. It's Home and Away. People were talking. Were you going to say something?
No.
You're just laughing. Laughing. Fair enough.
Yeah.
People were talking about the Diggy baby news, and saying, "Oh, this is interesting." Ears pricked up like you and I. What this must be interesting for plot point. But Naomi says, well, they're just replenishing the banks of the Riverboys of the future.
Well, yeah. Do you know what? The new cohort.
Yeah, it's true. We need some more. Baby Riverboy. Yeah. Population needs to be. Yeah. And then this is the question that David said, and again, it brings me on to the whole Riverboy topic. Mr. David says, is Dean still a Riverboy? Is he a part-time Riverboy or a member of the Queensland branch of the Riverboys? Si? Is he still a Riverboy, sorry? If he doesn't live in Mangrove River?
I think you are a Riverboy for life regardless.
Even
my understanding...
Even if you've scrubbed off your tattoos?
Yeah, even if you've scrubbed off your tattoos, I think regardless of where you end up in the world, there's a hierarchy, isn't there? Like, there's always seems to be a supreme leader.
Yes.
But I think should the eventuality arise, you can call upon without any questions.
Yeah.
So I think you never shake it.
And if he got a call, he'd have to go back and help, wouldn't he?
Yeah, and he wouldn't bat an eyelid. He wouldn't need time to think.
No,
like
you do it.
That allegiance, that brotherhood. Yeah, is strong.
It's like an army thing, isn't it? Really? Yeah.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting when he tracks down this murderer with his wife and her beautiful breasts. It'd be interesting to see if he lets him know who he is and if he's heard of them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yes, it will. Yeah, I can't wait for next week. Actually, Kylie. I don't think it's the Kylie. Kylie on Facebook
spinning
says
around.
Just tweeting about homers. Kylie says, so they will stab Ziggy. This is the theory. So they will stab Ziggy. Levi will save her, save the baby's life. Dean will kiss and make up with Levi, and they'll all live happily ever after in the end. That's what Kylie's predicting. That's not far off from what I was thinking, I'll be honest.
Kylie's been here before.
Yeah. Yes, you are a long time Homer's fan, Kylie, I'm assuming. Now, I've read out a lot of the good of the Diggy return. There were a few, not many, I'll be honest. There were a few comments that weren't as positive on
Okay.
Facebook, so I'm going to read those out to you as well, just for balance. So
Mhm.
first of all, we've got a comment from Andrea who says, "Wow, you have to bring back 2 decent characters to boost your ratings. Too little, too late. I don't watch it anymore. But before the posts come rolling in, I am entitled to my opinion. Even if I don't watch it, there is a reason I don't watch it, and it's because it's crap." Wow.
But I'm on the Facebook page.
Thanks for your input, Andrea. Yeah.
Andrea, go away.
Stop commenting. Stop letting it live in your brain rent free. Just
I know.
find a new show and comment on how crap that is
Yeah.
instead. Move on.
And by the way, your comment has created engagement. That's how the algorithm works. So who's the loser?
She's going to see
you
more of her crap in her
don't-
timeline for commenting
Yeah.
on it. Yeah.
Don't want to watch it, don't watch it, darling.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? Because actually, I think the fact that she says she's not watching it, but it's still crap, like, you don't know.
I
Find
know
it-
this. Yeah, this frustrates me, and it's not just Home and Away. It's any show. People judge a show based on an opinion formed ages ago, and
Yeah.
shows like soaps change all the time.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that people aren't more open-minded. I think the world. I'm not going to go on a tangent, but the world is getting more closed-minded by the day in a whole manner of reasons and
Yeah.
ways of life.
More serious than Home and
Um,
Away, definitely.
yeah, and someone like that just is having a bad day and just wants to spit vitriol about something she doesn't enjoy. You don't have to enjoy it, but you also don't have to do that. Do you know what I mean?
No, it's a shame, isn't it? Because it's like you've wasted a few minutes of your life there just saying, I don't watch it, but I think it's crap. And it's like, maybe if you actually did try to watch it, this week's episodes were really good and you might enjoy it. It's a shame that you've just already written it off. But
Yeah.
yeah, it is a shame. But there are people out there that do have these opinions. Helen on Facebook says, "Not another kidnap." I think they're running out of ideas for storylines. And there were a few comments like that as well, like, "Not again." But this, if you are a Homers fan, this is part and parcel of Homers. This is the kind of storylines that we do get. And there's running jokes. I mean, me and Mr. David have been joking on Twitter all week about Leah and how she's overdue a kidnap because it's been over a year. You know what I mean? And it's just that kind of show.
It is. I mean, I think there is some truth in there somewhere. It is a bit comical, like how often people are bundled into a car and driven out to the bush. But the alternative is this is a program that is filmed entirely, other than the indoor scenes, it's filmed entirely on location. A lot of the UK soaps have an outdoor purpose-built set that they can do things with. With Home and Away, because it is filmed in real locations.
Yeah.
Every episode, might I add, that the UK soaps claim they can't do because it's too expensive, right? So they have a purpose-built set, but you're gonna see more car type stuff. You're gonna see things in the bush. You're gonna have things happen, in open space, in a deserted factory, because that is our location shooting. And we don't have an outdoor set, so you're gonna get some of that naturally. But I do understand that we do get a lot of it, and it can be a bit repetitive. And I think there is something in that.
I
we
think
could
it's
get a bit
just
more
it's
creative.
just part and parcel of the show, and I
I
kind of expect it, and it is funny and it is formulaic in that way. But that's also
you just poke fun at it, don't you? That's half the fun of watching a soap.
And it's my comfort show, and what I want from a comfort show is something that's familiar and like, oh, here we go again. You know what I mean? And something I don't necessarily want to predict an entire storyline, but I do want to go, oh, that's gonna happen from this. Like the Levi stuff this week. Levi and Dean are butting heads. You and I are going, well, something's gonna come to a head, and they're gonna have to make up it. And he's a doctor, and she's pregnant. 2 and 2, 4. We might be wrong, but it's nice to speculate, and it's nice to try. And and that's very Home and Away, that kind of formula, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And it feels comforting when it happens, because it's like, oh, here we go. I knew that was going to happen. Yeah, I know some people want new, but I'm quite happy with, you know, understanding the things that Home and Away is kind of known
What you've
for.
come here for.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a bit of that. It's formulaic. That's a soap, isn't it?
yeah.
But it is nice to be sort of some twists and turns in there. This isn't over yet.
Yeah.
This could turn out differently. There could
And
be a twist coming.
this is a kidnap, but it's not a planned one. It's not like a stalker or somebody. It's literally they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. These two guys have turned up. It's very haphazard. It's very Pinky and Perky from last year with not Levi, Remy and Eden when they got caught up with those guys
Yeah.
that hit Remy off his bike. They didn't plan to hit him. It was all accidental. And you and I
Yeah.
were laughing at it because it was just like it's escalating all the time because they
Yeah.
keep making a mistake and then going, oh God, and like doing the worst thing. And it's funny to watch it because it's like
Yeah.
it's not planned. None of this is
Yeah.
planned. It's not like a
I think a
stalker
kidnap is a stretch here. I think this is an escape.
It is
I
an
don't think it's a
escape.
kidnap.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Mm.
They're trying to get over the county lines or the state lines with wearing a uniform essentially because they're wearing matching outfits, aren't they? Which tells Dean these guys have broken
Prison
out
greens.
of prison greens. Yeah, they've broken out of prison. They're trying to look like normal guys by being in a car with a couple of girls, to try and the police are looking for two blokes that have escaped prison, and they're not necessarily going to look for two blokes that are with two girls. Looking like they're on holiday in Queensland. That's why they've took the girls.
Yeah, definitely.
So it is. It's not. It's not a kidnap in the normal soap sense, I guess. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame people aren't enjoying it, but that's life, isn't it? And there'll be some of the storyline that comes along that they will enjoy. So
yeah, this is it. We all like different things, and if we like the same things, we'd be boring, wouldn't it?
Some people might like the Harper and Tani wedding stuff. I don't know who they are, but they might.
That'll be you by the time we get there.
No, not a chance. Not a chance.
Some people love Marley.
Well, yeah, he's a pig. But anyway, moving on.
But he's my pig.
He's your piggy. You can have him. Yes, you can have that pig. You can make him squeal. The Riverboys. Right, so that was the Dean Riverboy tangent, Queensland Riverboy segment. What about the actual Riverboys that are in Mangrove River and Theo and Sonny? What do people think of those? Well, there weren't too many tweets about or comments about Gage, actually. There were a lot of comments about the girl who, I don't think she's got a name. Your new crush. Is she named?
Oh, yeah, in his phone.
Yeah. Has she got a name, this girl? I don't think she has yet, has she?
I don't know. I don't think she has. Yeah, you're right.
I think I'm just calling her your new crush because that's what she saved her name in Theo's phone. So I don't know what her name is, but everyone's calling her that girl on the social media. So Julie on Twitter says, if that girl is with the ringleader, why is she so stupid to flirt with Theo? Because she wants to.
Said Billy Piper. It's a trap.
Yeah.
It's a trap, isn't it?
She's trying to get them interested so they want to work with them.
Yeah, and I think she was listening to the conversation between Theo and what's his name, Sonny, when they said they wanted to leave. She then came in and said, "Follow me. I've got something for you to look at." She could have been listening to that. She's in on it. It's a trap.
Yeah. She's the honey trap, isn't she? She's the good-looking girl that's gonna do whatever the fella says. We need these guys on board. Flirt with them, do whatever, but don't take it too far because you're my girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems that way, but it's early doors.
We don't know. We're speculating. Julie also says, "Well, I'd be getting the hell out of there after that. Theo being done with that girl, he must know she'd be taken." Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think we'll be back because it's a drama.
But I think that also makes it exciting. If someone's taken, it's like, oh, well, challenge. You know what I mean? Like that kind of girl.
Yeah. The unobtainable.
The danger that's attached to her because of the fella and all that stuff.
Seductive.
Yeah, it is. Mr. David says, Theo, all that hair has impaired your judgment. That girl is going to get you in so much trouble. Yeah. Well, we're kind of hoping that he is, aren't we? I think.
That'll make telly.
Yeah, it makes it exciting.
Yeah.
Lots of people were talking about that girl that doesn't have a name yet and saying that she looks like various people. So Jamie said she looks a bit like Tara Reid vibes. Mr. David thinks she looks a bit like Jasmine. I actually think she looked like you remember Anita in Heartbreak High, the OG Heartbreak High.
Oh yeah, I can see a bit of that.
She kind of
Yeah.
gave me an Anita vibe. I don't know. Do you think she looks like anybody? Does she remind you of anybody?
I can see Anita. To be fair, yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Quite a lot of people are saying she reminds me of Jasmine. I didn't see Jasmine because I think Jasmine was far too goody for this girl, whatever her name is. Maybe we'll find out next week. I don't know. Mr. David, like you, was noticing a lot of the Theo dialogue, let's say, in that episode.
God, don't make me relive it. Go on.
No, Mr. David says loads of innuendo today, worse than a 70s sitcom. It was a bit. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was so funny. I was being sick while also like laughing. You know what I mean? It was entertaining. I enjoyed it. Carly Simon. Wow. Carly Simon from You're So Vain, I think, fame. I'm not sure if it is the Carly Simon. But Carly Simon says, who gives their bank card to a loser? Wow. A loser. Who gives the bank card to a loser? Sonny is so vain, he'll think that post is about him, I'm sure. Yeah. Carly has stuff to say. And
Carly, please let us know if you are the Carly.
She's got a man as her profile picture, so it's very confusing whether it is the real Carly Simon or not. I don't know.
It's 2025.
True that. And then the last tweet about last comment about Sonny and the new Riverboy chapter is from Sue Carter, who says Sonny is a dangerous friend to have. Nice on the eyes, though.
Completely concur.
What more do you want in a friend, really? You know, danger, nice on the eyes. You know,
Wandering hand.
Apply now to be our friend. We'll quite happily take you on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. What about Rue? What are people saying about Rue? Do you want to hear some comments?
Oh God.
Come
on, I'm sat up. I'm sitting up.
Are you braced? Okay, I'm going to read you some. So
got my seatbelt on.
You will need it. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Jamie on Twitter says, Rue, are you stupid having Cash walk in with his uniform on? Yeah, well.
Seemingly so.
So. Well, we know she is. Victoria Lou on Twitter says, Rue, you fostered her. Sort her out yourself.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure fostering's like, can you take this back, please?
I don't want this.
Change my mind.
Yeah, I've got the receipt. Yeah. I don't know.
Short term normally, isn't it?
The word foster implies short term, doesn't it? Yeah. But I don't know.
And this isn't working out, so like it just take a phone call, won't it? Do you know what I mean?
Just one call and she's gone. Well, she tried to do it herself, didn't she? And then Rue talked her out of it. So
I know, silly sausage.
Mr. David says, where did Rue get her counselling qualifications? The University of Toy Town.
That's a good point because she's been around young people for
all
years.
Her life. Yeah.
You'd think she would approach this a little bit differently. She's frustrating.
Yes, he says she's meant to be a trained professional and she's hopeless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's coming across that way.
It's useless. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm trying to put me sort of, objective hat on and be like, you know what, give her the benefit of the doubt. Like, it's completely different to, 5 hours at school every, she's living and breathing it and she's trying to, she knows the girl has had a bad time because she's in the situation she's in and she's trying to do the best. She's messing up at every opportunity, but it's through wanting to do good. So I'm trying.
I don't know. I'm finding it really hard. I want to believe that. I want to jump on board with what you're saying and give her the benefit of the doubt. But the fact that she's not tried to find out what her problems are, or taken a minute to work out why she is the way she is, it's for me. It's more about Rue having a vanity project and to be able to say, "Oh, I'm a foster mum, aren't I great?" rather than actually trying to help this girl.
Yeah, I can see some truth in that. To be honest, I don't completely dismiss that argument because I can't. Like, I can see that too. You know what I mean? But I'm also like, this part of my thought process is like, for everything that Rue is, she isn't someone who's going to be like so careless about another human being that should damage a damaged person more.
No.
On purpose.
No.
I
agree with that. Yeah, I think you're right. She doesn't want to cause her harm, but I don't think the way that she's going about it is necessarily in the interest of Eliza at the moment.
It's there's some of her own sort of gain from it, isn't there?
Yeah,
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
No, I think you're right. I don't think she's maliciously doing anything to exacerbate Eliza's problem or try. She doesn't. Not that she doesn't want to help her. It's just that she doesn't really know how to because she's not tried.
Yeah.
To work it out.
But like you say, if she's doing it for the right reasons, then she pick up the phone to Docs and be like, "I'm struggling here. Like I'm getting it wrong, and this is happening." But she's not doing that, so there is some vanity in there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I take it.
Rue knows best, and that's why she's slapping Maz down because Maz is trying to go, "Oh, what about this?" And she's like, "No, like you stay in your lane, and I'm the foster mum, not you."
Yeah, and this is happening under her nose. Do you know what I mean?
And if you were genuinely interested in Eliza and wanted to help her, you'd listen to the people that had noticed things about her.
Of course you would. Yeah.
Because you'd be like, right, what did you see then? Okay, right, now I've got a fuller picture. I can tackle this, or I can do this, or she's not doing that. She's going, I'm the foster mum. I know best. Yeah, she ain't no Pippa. Let's put it that way. She ain't no Pippa. Julie's asking questions like us. Why are the social workers not supporting her? Why is she getting cash involved? It's just stupid. Questions. Jamie saying, did they tell Rue anything about Eliza before she moved in with her? Clearly not.
Well, not that we saw. Yeah.
Jamie says, how has Rue only been told about Eliza's grandmother now? Totally slacking since the days that Pippa was a foster mum.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Where is Docs? Come on. This is ridiculous. Mr. David says, Jesus wept. I've seen mushrooms with more brains than Rue. Why are you so dumb, girly? And Naomi on Twitter has a theory. She says, I think Marilyn needs to give Eliza a tarot reading. The things that she could say to her to make her little Ebenezer Scrooge, if she was told about future Eliza, maybe she could see the error of her ways. That's interesting, isn't it? Like your future, if you carry on down this path, Dal, your future's looking very grim. Yeah. I don't think she cares though, because I don't think she has that the fact that she said she didn't regret hitting that bloke. Well, he annoyed me. He deserved it. I don't think she's going to be the kind of person to be able to take stock and...
Yeah, she doesn't feel.
No.
She's emotionless.
Psychopath, isn't she?
Yeah.
Sociopath.
It is. I use the word chilling, and I'll come back to it. I don't know how to handle it.
No.
I don't know how to react to it. It's weird.
Yeah. And there was a lot of speculation about whether she was the grandma pusher, because Jamie asked on Twitter, did Eliza push grandma down the stairs? And I said, I'm also thinking that she was, grandma pusher. Does anyone else agree? A lot of people do agree. So Sarah says, I reckon poor Eliza has seen a lot in her lifetime. She's been in the system since she was 10. She's still very young. I hope the storyline lives up to her expectations and doesn't fizzle out like some do, LOL. Yeah. Julie says, it's looking like she is that way, i.e. grandma pusher. She certainly unnerved Marilyn. She did. And Nina says, definitely agree about the grandma pusher, and why hasn't Rue been told about any of this? So again, people questioning the obvious holes in the storyline, unfortunately. Yeah.
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 Yes. A lot, again, it's we said it, when this started off, you tell the story backwards, and we've sort of been a bit like, come on now, tell us. We've had some information this week, so the questions start again, don't they?
Yeah.
I think pace will pick up now.
Yeah.
We've still got the box. We need answers for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now we've got this added thing of Nana at the bottom of the stairs. Of course, we're going to question it.
Yeah. Yes. And on the back of that, in a week where we've seen the Riverboys' new hangout and the drag racing and all that stuff, a week where we've seen the kidnapping by escaped murderer, and we've heard about possible Nana killer in the Bay. I've got one more comment from Christine, on Facebook, who says, tongue in cheek, I think, Australia seems like a very dangerous place to live.
It does if you're watching this show. Yeah.
You can't blame you for thinking that. Yeah.
You have like a 1 in 60 chance of living till retirement. It's probably even lower than that.
I think it is. Oh, it's so funny.
Please take the time to like, subscribe, and review Coastal News wherever you source your podcasts, and ensure you never miss an episode.